Anyway, all functions of the human body are acidifying to the blood and tissues. Breathing, even thinking, creates acids that can make you sick. If those acids are not properly eliminated, they get first from the blood, if you want to know where they go. If acids or toxins cannot be eliminated through the 4 channels of elimination, urination, perspiration, defecation, and respiration, they are then immediately transported into the connective tissue. What are some connective tissue disorders that are rampant now? Fibromyalgia. That's nothing more than urine that should have gone out through the urinary tract system is now getting parked into your connective tissue. Now, I use the word urine because you all know what that is. But if you can imagine your blood purifying itself by pushing out waste products that should go out through the bowels or through the urinary tract system, they get parked in the connective tissue. All irritation, inflammation, any contraction of the muscle, such as the new disease which is being promoted, like the restless leg syndrome, just another disease to market another drug that does not work, is nothing more than I eat too much acidic food disease. My channels of elimination are blocked, and therefore the body, specifically the blood, is purifying itself by parking that excess acidity into the connective tissue. And from the connective tissue, if it is not removed, it then goes into the fatty tissues. That's why obesity is a worldwide problem. All you have to look at, what causes obesity? Not fat. That is the lie. The truth of obesity is the body's inability to remove its own waste products, and the body perfectly protecting itself by parking its acid in your hips, your thighs, your buttocks, your waistline, and in your breast and brain. And if you continue that process, those acids will break down the breast, causing breast cancer. But before the breast cancer, it's always microcalcifications. Stones in the gallbladder are nothing more than acids that should have been removed, are being solidified in order to protect healthy tissue. So we find stones in the brain, we find stones in the thyroid, and we find it in just about everyone we test using sonograms. We find cysts, we find stones everywhere. And why do people have all these stones? Because they're not properly eliminating their own waste products. Autointoxication is very real. And these acids come from not only what we eat, but also what we think, and also through the mechanism of metabolism. Since our bodies are constantly on 24/7, we are constantly producing acidic waste products, and that's why it's literally and biologically and biochemically impossible to over-alkalize. In fact, when the body is in a state of alkalosis, what is being measured is the blood pH as it's trying to overcompensate, as it's pushing acids out into the tissues. So when our pH of our blood, which is balanced at 7.365 to 7.4, begins to rise to 7.4 to 7.45 to 7.5, what is happening? The blood is trying to overcompensate for acidity as it's pushing acids out into the tissues, and you're at a risk for cancer. Do you lower blood alkalinity? Absolutely not. By lowering blood alkalinity, by putting more acid in the body, sets the stage for even more acid that leads to more tissue acidosis, that then leads to a cancerous condition. Unfortunately, oncologists, hematologists, and the complete medical community do not understand the pathology of stones, the pathology of these microcalcifications in the breast, the brain, prior to the tumor formation, which is just a larger problem of acid spoiling more tissue. Now, we've all been surgeons. We've all taken a banana and cut off the acidic portion of the banana. But just like a banana that rots or gets spots, we look at our own skin and we see spots here and there. That's nothing more than your own urine coming out through the skin rather than out through the urinary tract. If you stink, you're urinating through your skin. You don't need deodorants. What you need is purification from within. And that really comes down to probably the single most important thing that you can do, which costs less than $10. And then you can fire your doctor. And then with this knowledge, you empower yourself with the knowledge and education to be able to care for your body. Because your body takes care of itself if you know how to do it. Since it's alkaline by design, you have to measure the pH of the fluids of the body. Very simply, you measure the pH of the urine. The urine is a measurement of pH of the interstitial fluids, or the fluids from the cells, both from inside, or intracellular fluids, and the fluids on the outside as they're being dumped into the blood and then urinated through the urinary tract system. So if your pH is below 7.2, then you're in tissue acidosis, and you're urinating through your skin, and you're parking acid in your connective and fatty tissues. That's the minimum, 7.2 pH. All you do is when you wake up in the morning, you take a strip of pH paper, you pee on it, and you look at the color. What color should it be? Green. Isn't this simple? It all comes back to green. If your pee is not green, if it's yellow, if your eliminations are brown, it's the wrong color. They're supposed to be green. This is really different, isn't it? So what about the saliva pH? What does that mean? Well, that's kind of like your gas gauge. When you're looking at a car and the gas gauge is low, you go, oh, I got to fill it up. Well, when you're testing your saliva, you're actually measuring the potentiality of alkalization. So if your pH is in the saliva is lower, like before you eat something, because after you eat something, it should go up. Because the salivary glands do not secrete digestive enzymes. That's another medical myth. The salivary glands secrete baking soda, NaHCO3, sodium bicarbonate. And what happens when you eat something or put something in your mouth, the only thing you have to digest that food is your teeth, and if you swallow it without liquefying it, that's about the way it stays going through. That's why if you eat corn, it comes out corn. Because you forgot to chew it. It's the same thing with a piece of chicken. But see, for kids that are eating chicken, what happens, it sticks right into the small intestine, starts rotting those delicate appendages, which is the root system, and guess what they end up with? Diabetes. Chicken is the #1 cause of type 1 diabetes. You eat it, plan on it. You see, we've been told that diabetes begins in the pancreas. You can't listen to your doctor because they've got to unlearn and relearn some basic things about physiology and anatomy and how things are actually really working. All the books have to be rewritten. So, you test your saliva before, should be 7.2 or greater. You test your saliva after you've eaten, 5 minutes after, what should it be? At least 8.4 or greater. Why? Because your saliva is an alkalizing material that raises the pH of whatever you're eating. Does not digest food. Food digests from the inside out. There is no mechanism in the human organism that digests food other than you chewing it. Don't expect the stomach to digest your food. And food does not digest in the small intestine. It's game over. So that's why America's constipated. If I was President of the United States, my first directive would be put Congress on mandatory colonics. As I said yesterday, you have more brain cells in your gut than you do in your head. If we had clearer bowels, we would have clearer minds, and we would have more inspired decisions coming from our politicians. We would purge the toxicity from the inside out, beginning with the bowels and then to the brain. I think there'd be more cooperation rather than competition if that was to happen. Anyway, sounds kind of fun. I don't know. I thought of that the other day and thought you might like it. Since, this is a very important year for our country. And you've already heard me say that we don't need more medication, we need more education. And we don't need health insurance. We need a program to empower people on how to take care of their bodies. And it has to begin with education. As the doctors go on strike, the hospitals go on strike, and people start eating better, they're going to start feeling better. And that's really what happens with depression, because depression is really not something you get, it's something you do, and it's a reflection of toxemia from within. So I gave last night a simple metaphor to explain this simply, this protocol that we call the pH Miracle lifestyle. This is not a diet, this is a lifestyle. This is not something you do for 1 day or 5 days or 10 days. This is something, if you're interested in feeling younger, anybody here interested in feeling younger? If you're interested in looking 10 years younger, if you're interested in running and not fainting or walking, without gasping for air, if you're looking for a better quality and quantity of life, then this is a lifestyle that I would recommend that you look into seriously. As it relates to restoring health back to its natural state, it would be no different than changing the water for a fish who is sick. So when the fish is sick, what would you do? Would you treat the fish or change the water? And the common sense answer is change the water. Why? Because the fish is only as healthy as the water it swims in. Right now we're dealing with global warming. What is happening, the oceans are absorbing the acids of the atmosphere, and it's being buffered by the coral or the calcium or the skeletal system of the ocean. It's called acid rain. The increase in epidemic proportions of cancer and diabetes, where we have body warming, not global warming, but body warming, where we're dealing with the same acids, not from the macro world, but from what we eat, what we drink, and what we think. As acid is raining on our blood, on our bones, and on our muscles, and doctors are labeling this disease without understanding what is happening in the macro world is the very thing that's happening in the micro world. We're absorbing our own waste products. It's called what I refer to as body warming. Acid rain from without, acid rain from within, and there are certain sections of the ocean now that used to contain over 5,000 species of marine life. They are all gone. Acid has killed them all. Acid is ripping your life away from you. One of the stronger acids that strips your bones and your muscles, acid rain, is soft drinks. They're not soft, they're hard drinks. They're harder than alcohol. You're better off having a beer than drinking a Coke. You're better off having a shot of vodka than having a soda pop. The pH of soda pop is 2.5. Vodka is about 7, about 6.5. I don't recommend it. Okay? It has other effects, but it's a lot better than what our kids are drinking. And here's a scary thought. Orange juice is just about as toxic. Orange juice will actually shut down the immune system for 5 hours. The citric acid in orange juice is so paralyzing. The sugars in orange juice are so paralyzing. And this is where my lessons get really hard, because this is what the blood is teaching. That I watch red blood cells, I watch white blood cells literally shake as if they're intoxicated when they're exposed to high sugar fruits. Pineapple, mangoes. Do I need to continue? All high sugar fruits paralyze your immunity, increase acidity, and are one of the major contributors of body warming. Now, if it's a choice, a banana, which is 25% acid, versus an avocado, which is like 3 to 5% acid, there's no question. You can have all the avocados you want, but bananas will shut down your immunity, poison your blood, and start breaking down your tissues. And you say, well, what about all the potassium? Well, that potassium is gone. It gets nullified with all the sugar from the banana. So what you end up is a sugar hit. And we got bananaholics in Australia promoting the banana diet, and I've seen their blood. These guys are athletes. They're running. The only thing that's saving their life is the fact that they're running and sweating all this acid out through the pores of the skin. Other than that, they'd probably be dead from ODing on banana. So I'll give you just a couple of extreme examples. Now, when I talk, these things seem extreme. But I believe that you're the kind of people that can listen to this, because I think there's people out here that need to hear this, and are those who are very, very interested in perfect health. But the first thing I do, if you're a cancer patient or a diabetic, is I immediately take you off high-sugar fruits. No apples, no oranges, no bananas, no sweet fruit. So then we put you on the alkalizing fruits. What are they? Cucumber. Never thought I'd ever say that. I didn't like cucumber when I was growing up. It wasn't sweet enough. We were raised on orange juice. Cucumber, you have to change your taste buds. And many of us are slaves to our taste buds. We eat for taste. If I could make this carpet taste good, people would eat it. I could sell it. I could make a profit. Wouldn't digest any more than beef, chicken, or pork, or fish would digest. But hey, tastes good. And that's what happens with a lot of natural health foods. You've got to read the labels. Look at the carbohydrate loads. Look at the sugar contents of foods. Like a wind-chilled donut has about 8 or 9 grams per serving. You get more than that in orange juice or a banana. So you've got to watch the sugar. Sugar is an acid. It's a waste product. It poisons the blood. It deteriorates the alkaline design of the body. So if you're sick, you have to change the fluids of the body. It's not about treating the fish. It's about changing the fluids to a more alkaline state, and that's what we do when we're dealing with sickness and disease and restoring health and wellness to the body. We focus on the environment. One of the most important things that you can do is start drinking alkaline water. The wonderful thing about drinking alkaline water, it neutralizes or chelates or buffers the acids of the stomach, which is exactly what you want to do. Because the stomach doesn't digest food, remember? Only your teeth digest food. So by drinking alkaline water at a pH of 9.5, you're going to nullify and neutralize a poison that is so toxic that has a pH of about 1 to 1.5. It is about 100 million times more acidifying than a glass of water, that falls into the gastric pits of the stomach, that never comes in contact with your food, that's sitting there after the food is left. You can neutralize that by drinking high pH water, and the chemical compound which is destroying people's life is called hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is found in nutritional supplements. Hydrochloric acid is found in all pharmaceutical drugs. Because there's this false belief that we need to break down our food, when in reality, the stomach's main purpose is to alkalize the food. Did you realize just like the mouth, the pH goes up, so does the stomach? Because the goal for food to be transformed into the crypts of the small intestine into stem cells is 1, it has to be liquid. 2, the pH has to be at least 8.4. And 3, ideally, the color of the food should be green. Now, if you want to eat healthy and you're working towards perfect health, that's the priorities. And this is why we put people who are sick, who don't have the energy to liquefy their food, you can get a blender to do that. You can get a juicer to do that. And as far as alkaline water, If you're not chemically altering the water, you can do that electrically too as well. And the challenge that we had at the pH Miracle Center is, where do you get this stuff to be able to live this kind of lifestyle? And can you find it? And is it convenient? Where are the resources? So a lot of this, and I apologize for that, but I was literally forced to develop products to be able to resolve the problems that I was seeing that were not being addressed out there. And so I've been talking about ionized alkaline water now for over 30 years. In reality, I started this whole movement. And I'm grateful that there are others who are embracing it now. But there is a controversy. Drinking alkaline water will neutralize the digestive enzymes. Great. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Your digestive enzymes are toxic acids. You would never, ever, if you're trying to achieve perfect health, fitness, spiritual connection, emotional balance, would you ever take digestive enzymes? Unless you want to poison yourself. Lipase, amylase, protease, they're waste products. They're the urine of fermentation and breakdown products. If you don't believe me, if you don't trust what I'm saying, get off your digestive enzymes, start alkalizing, and watch your health improve. See, I'm so certain about my research is because of the hundreds of thousands of people in over 72 countries that have been resolved. When we were in Beijing, China, the head of the medical clinic and hospital there was not able to meet with us because he had ulcers, he had reflux, and they were trying to treat it with vinegar. And I said, look, you can't treat it with vinegar, you can't treat acid with acid. It's very, very simple. Start drinking soda water. Start drinking a little baking soda and water. Neutralizes the acids and the problem goes away. They were so impressed with that simple recommendation that I gave over 10 years ago, they wanted me to stay and work in the hospital there. I said, no, I'm going back to America and try to save, as many people as I can from being educated beyond their intelligence. And you know the word intelligence means, inter means between, gents means lines. So I'm saying a lot of things, but you're going to have to read between the lines. Because you can be really smart and still stupid. Intelligent people are able to listen and read between the lines. Acids come from metabolism. Acids comes from the foods and liquids we drink. Acids come from exercise, thinking, cellular transformation. I'm running out of time. And what is the gland responsible for all this alkalization to maintain the alkaline design? It is the stomach. The stomach is the main organ that produces sodium bicarbonate. For every molecule of sodium bicarbonate it produces, it pulls water. It pulls salt. That's why salt's so important. If you're not eating salt, you're not eating one of the foundational elements that builds alkaline buffers. Our bodies are starving for salt, and all we hear from doctors is to restrict our salt. Is this some sort of conspiracy? Maybe, maybe not. All I know is they don't understand the biochemistry. Hydrochloric acid cannot be created in isolation. Hydrochloric acid can only be produced in equal amounts of sodium bicarbonate being produced. The formula is simple. NaCl plus H2O plus CO2 equals NaHCO3 plus HCl. You cannot produce hydrochloric acid unless you're drinking it or taking it in a supplement form. And God forbid you are taking it, and if you are, I hope you'll consider stopping it immediately. The stomach produces sodium bicarbonate to alkalize the acids from your thoughts, to alkalize the acids that produce from exercise, from the movements of your body, from your heartbeat, from the contraction of every muscle. The stomach produces the sodium bicarbonate. When you're worried about something, when you're upset about something, how does that feel in your stomach? Have you ever had an acidic stomach or an upset stomach after you've been worried or you overate the wrong things? That's the body's need for more salt. It's the body's need for more bicarbonate. And when you have nausea, that is the symptom of a deficiency in sodium bicarbonate. Now, this is not explained in any medical text. You cannot research this anywhere. The only place you can find it is my work, my writings, and in the chapters in the new pH Miracle book, revised and updated. I hope you have a copy. We only brought a few. There you learn the true physiology and biochemistry of the alimentary canal, which is not a digestive system, it's an alkaline buffering system, and it does not break down any foods but prepares the food for biological transformation in the small intestine. People think that nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. That is also another medical myth. There are no nutrients absorbed in the small intestine. The food, which is called chyme, which is liquid, at a pH at 8.5 is converted into embryonic cells, stem cells, which then give birth to red blood cells. The primary site of red blood cell production is not in the marrow of the bones. It is in the small intestine. For God himself has actually declared this in the Old Testament. Health in the navel, marrow to the bones. Not marrow to the bones when we have, it's not the reverse. You get marrow in the bones when you have a healthy core. You build blood in the core. The only time you build blood out of your own bones is when you're in starvation. And all the studies that were done in Germany were done on the starvation of pigeons and rabbits, and on biopsy found that their bodies were deteriorating from the bone. Exactly. That's exactly what happens when we're in reverse transformation in a state of systemic acidosis, when the small intestine has been compromised to a point where you can no longer convert food into blood, or you've been marginalized. Bone is then transformed, liver is transformed, heart is transformed, brain is transformed, muscle is transformed into making new blood. Because blood is the primary organ of life, and when that organ can no longer survive the overacidification, it dies, and then you separate from spirit, from this clay tabernacle.